This week in church, we are thinking and talking together about rules. And we're talking about rules and laws. And so I want to think together a little bit today in this video about who is in charge and the different voices that tell us what to do. There's times when we are not in charge. And then there's times where we are always in charge, different parts of our life. For example, I'm not in charge of what my instructors in my school decide to teach me, or what assignments they decide to give me, or what rules they decide to make for the class. But I am in charge of how I react and respond to the rules that I get from them. There's certain things, for example, our bodies, that we're always in charge of. I'm always in charge of my own body, and you're always in charge of your own body. But it's interesting because there's also these different voices sometimes that tell us what to do. So sometimes there's external voices telling us what to do, other people. So for example, the fat seal is telling me to talk more quietly. And then there's also internal voices from inside us that give us wisdom and tell us what to do as well. Like sometimes I want to respond in a certain way, but my best higher self inside me reminds me, Tara, that's actually not the best version of you to respond that way. And so it helps me to remember how I want to be in the world. So this is hard for humans because we have lots of thoughts and feelings going through our minds and our hearts and our bodies all the time. And so many voices from all different directions telling us what to do. So it can be hard to decide who to listen to. So I have a story for you about two siblings. And it gets to this point a little bit. And so the story goes, it's called Tim and John, Who is in Charge? So the story goes that there are two twins named Tim and John. They looked exactly alike. And they had many of the same interests and liked many of the same things as well. But there were a couple ways they were really different. One of them loved pancakes and one of them loved waffles. One of them loved vegetables and the other one loved fruit. So they were alike in many ways, but also different in many ways. And one weekend they were out camping with their family. And the two twins had decided to kind of go off from the rest of their family and do a little bit of exploring. So they're walking along and all of a sudden, Tim heard some rustling from the bushes. "What is that?" he said. And John said, "I don't know." And all of a sudden, Tim said, "Oh my God, run!" And he sprinted away as fast as he could. John, on the other hand, had a loose shoe tie. So he tripped over his laces and he fell onto the ground. So John is lying on the ground. Tim has run off and there's something scary that they're both very afraid of. He looked from the ground to look behind him to see what it was, and it was a bear. There's a bear running at John. John is lying on the ground. Very, very scary. And Tim has at this point climbed up into the tree and is yelling at him to make sure he's okay. He's saying, John, are you there? Are you okay? What's happening? Get up, run, you got this. Yet John is lying on the ground, not making any sounds or any movements. And so it's interesting. Let's just pause here for a second. Why isn't he yelling back? And it's because even though he had an outside voice, his brother Tim, yelling at him to get up and run, his inner voice was saying, be still, stay where you are, don't move, don't make any noise. It feels like the right thing to do. And in fact, he had heard from someone in his life that that is what you're supposed to do when a bear is after you, is actually to play dead. So John decides to listen to his inner voice, to be as still as he possibly can. And so Tim is continuing to totally freak out from the tree, which is so understandable. And John is just listening to his inner voice. So this big scary bear is leaning over John, looking at him. And the bear kind of swipes his leg a little bit, kind of pushes, and John is just not moving. And the bear kind of swipes his other leg, trying to just check him out, see if he's alive, see if he might be dinner. And Tim kept crying out, John, you have to get up, run away. But John decided to keep still. And eventually, the bear walked away. Tim got down from the tree and they ran to each other and hugged each other, so glad that they were both okay. So glad that they were both okay. And they went back to the campsite to reunite with their family. So this is an example of a time where John listened to the voices that were not inside him, his brother, and he listened to his own inner voices, and he had to make a decision of what was the right thing to do in that moment. And we are called to this kind of decision making all the time. So this week, I invite you to notice, when are you listening to the voices outside you? Maybe different rules or laws or expectations. And when are you listening to voices inside you? Perhaps it's your highest self, your best version of yourself, telling you that you could be living out your values in a better way. So I'd like us to all think about that this week and really think about why we're making the decisions we're making, and if we can live into our faith, into our values, becoming the best versions of ourselves by listening deeply. So that is the lesson for the week, and I miss and love each and every one of you, as does the Fat Seal. We are sending our love. All of us at the church are sending our love to you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.